We are just hours away from the start of the Nevada Republican caucuses, and it appears that Donald Trump could claim another decisive victory. According to the latest CNN ORC poll, Trump has nearly half the vote and has 26 points on his closest competitor, Marco Rubio. Now, Rubio says even if he doesn't win tonight, there is still a path to the nomination for him.
This choice here remains multi-candidate. You have Ben Carson here this week and Ted Cruz and myself. So you have a very hardcore majority of Republicans that do not want Donald Trump as the nominee. And as long as they're being divided up by 3 or 4 people, it's good for Donald. But that's not going to continue.
So do they need to drop out then?
I think voters are going to take care of that. You already saw that. I mean, no one drops out because people ask them to. You drop out because you realize there's not a path forward. And the closer we get to that moment, the better off we're going to be. We hope it happens sooner rather than later, but these votes will take care of that.
All right, meanwhile, Trump has been taking dead aim at Senator Ted Cruz on Twitter today, saying a lot of things, but we're going to start with Caitlin Huey-Burns, who is the national political reporter for Real Clear Politics, and she joins us now. Always good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thank you.
First up, thanks for being here. Trump and Marco Rubio at it again, and they have been hammering Cruz, of course, for a number of reasons, basically trying to discount him and saying that he's dishonest for some quite time now. And Cruz just fired his communications director over that inaccurate video that we've been looking at. Could this be the beginning of the end of the Cruz campaign? Everybody's talking about that. Is it time for him to go?
Right. Well, everyone wants to get this race narrowed down to at least 2 people. There are still 5 people left in the race. Marco Rubio wants Ted Cruz to get out so he can take Donald Trump one-on-one. He also needs John Kasich to come out so he can coalesce the establishment behind him. And so what we're seeing here is Marco Rubio has identified Ted Cruz as his chief rival for some time now, has been trying to undermine him on a variety of issues, but really trying to paint him as, he's not the guy he's saying he is, trying to undermine his conservative credentials and his trustworthiness and that sort of thing. So I think we're going to see a lot of this come to the fore in the debate later this week.
And we're looking at these tweets right now that Donald Trump put out. This one here saying Ted Cruz lifts the Bible high into the air and then lies like a dog over and over again. The evangelicals in South Carolina figured him out and said no. So this clearly just adds to that fight. Trump has such a large lead in Nevada right now, but polls from the Silver State are notoriously misleading. Is there any chance that we could see an upset tonight?
It's possible, although I think that Donald Trump, this race is Donald Trump's to lose at this point. Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio have robust ground games in the state. They've each been looking to Nevada as a way to push themselves further into the race. But right now, Donald Trump has the attention and the momentum, really, after having a decisive win in South Carolina and New Hampshire. I can imagine a scenario in which Donald Trump wins and Rubio and Cruz both say, well, those are caucuses. They're not as organized as some of the others. Let's move on to those southern primaries that vote on March 1st. And that's where both campaigns are hoping to make a break for it.
Trump hasn't had a strong ground campaign in Nevada. Is this the end for him? Or could it be?
I don't think so. I think he is only gaining strength as we continue on. His campaign has really discounted the notion of having efforts on the ground, really. We saw that in Iowa. Even though he didn't win, he still came in second. He won New Hampshire and South Carolina by large margins. And I think he's proving that with a national name ID, he's funding his own campaign. He's able to get attention at every turn, hasn't really had to spend that much money. He's able to really keep the attention here. And if you look at the polls heading into all these primaries that are coming down the pike in March, he is leading a significant chunk of them. So that's why Rubio and Cruz are fighting to the death to get this down to a 2-person race.
Whatever the case, it won't be the end for Trump there in Nevada in this race to the White House. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton look poised to have a very big day. Is there a way for Rubio or Cruz to win the nomination without taking many states on Tuesday?
It's going to be difficult. We're getting into the thick of things now, and delegates really matter here. Donald Trump leads the delegate count so far. Ted Cruz has been eyeing these southern states as a way to really, garner a lot of delegates and head to the nomination. His home state of Texas, for example, is one of those states that votes on March 1st. But again, Donald Trump is well positioned in a lot of those states too. So the question is whether Cruz can win a couple, and there's also a big question about whether Rubio can can win a state, or at least pick up some delegates here when they're awarded proportionately. Rubio is looking to Florida, which votes on March 15th, and that's a winner-take-all state. But there is a lot of time between now and then, and as we know, these campaigns can turn very quickly in the course of 24 hours even.
And speaking of Rubio, he wants the other candidates to drop out because he's saying that they're taken away from his vote.
Right, exactly. John Kasich, he believes, is taking away from his ability to coalesce the establishment behind him. He's also trying to, he also suffers a little bit from Ben Carson remaining in the race. I think Ben Carson is pulling mostly from Cruz, but I also think he's threatening to take votes away from Marco Rubio. And again, Kasich or Carson aren't, garnering a bulk of the support in the polls right now, but their presence is taking up some of that room, and so they want them to get out.
Let's talk about the Democrats. Sanders has a big fight ahead. Could he steal some states from Hillary in Super Tuesday?
I think it's going to be very difficult. She has those southern states on lock, but also Vermont, Colorado, Minnesota, other places that Bernie Sanders has spent some time campaigning and can appeal to with a populist sensibility. I think he can do well, and those also vote on March 1st. But if you look at the aggregate, Hillary Clinton definitely has the momentum after winning Nevada. She's figures to win.
The super delegates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The super delegates matter a lot on the Democratic side.
All right, Caitlin, always good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Good to see you too. Thanks.